So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. And today is going to be a little bit of a different thing or a different story because, episode, because I'm going to go through a story. It is a short story by Ernest Hemingway, and it is called, and it also seems to be just a pretty known one and a pretty famous one, but maybe you haven't heard of it. It is called A Clean, Well-Lighted Place. I'm sorry, not space, but place. And I've had a look at it. I just went through it for quite a bit to actually see if there's something in it, if the moral of the book is somehow good or not, if I like it or not, whatsoever. I've just had a look at it to see if it is good or not, and I guess it is good. And I guess there's something that I can do with it. There's something I can somehow work with it. This is what I want to say. There's something that I can say afterwards because I try to not merely read this certain story, but also just talk about something, to talk about the story afterwards. This was at least the plan, The thing is, I don't know how long it's going to take me. It depends on how well everything goes and how well I can read today and, various other different variables that can lead to just it being a little bit longer, it being a little bit shorter. But or I do just extend the length of the video and or the podcast. I could also be doing that. But before I'm doing that, I do just really have to apologize. But I have plenty of space, on my discs, because I do not want to get into just having, not enough space, would not be that well. Would really not be that well. But yeah, I'll see you after the obligatory intro. Because I've somehow just said quite a lot before the intro. Let's see. Change this up and everything is good to go. A little bit big though, I have to say. Let's make it. Am I able to do this? Not really. But I can do it like this and make me a little bit smaller. Yeah, this looks pretty great, I would say. So I'm going to read and I don't know. I think for the podcast listeners, it's going to be just a really great experience because it is like, okay, you do not have to read the story. And it is a pretty famous and good one, I assume, because Huffington Post have been talking about it. And another guy on Quora, if you know the platform, it is like some Q&A thing, has also been talking about it. So I assume that it is actually a great one. So, A Clean, Well-Lighted Space by Ernest Hemingway. It was very late and everyone had left the cafe, whatever it is, except an old man who sat in the shadow the leaves of the tree made against the electric light. In the daytime, the street was dusty, but at night the dew settled the dust and the old man liked to sit late because he was deaf and now at night it was quiet and he felt the difference. The two waiters inside the cafe knew that the old man was a little drunk, and while he was a good client, they knew that if he became too drunk he would leave without paying, so they kept watch on him. Last week he tried to commit suicide, one waiter said. Why? He was in despair. What about? Nothing. How do you know it was nothing? He has plenty of money. They sat together at a table that was close against the wall near the door of the cafe and looked at the terrace, where the tables were all empty except where the old man sat in the shadow of the leaves of the tree that moved slightly in the wind. A girl and a soldier went by in the streets. The streetlight shone on the brass number on his collar. The girl wore no hat covering and hurried beside him. The God will pick him up, one waiter said. What does it matter if he gets what he is after? He had better get off the street now. The God will get him. They went by 5 minutes ago. The old man sitting in the shadow rapped on his saucer with his glass. The younger waiter went over to him. What do you want? The old man looked at him. Another brandy, he said. You'll be drunk, the waiter said, and the old man looked at him. The waiter went away. Hell, he will stay all night, he said to his colleague. I'm sleepy now. I never get into bed before 3 o'clock. He should have killed himself last week. The waiter took the brandy bottle and another saucer from the counter inside the cafe and marched out to the old man's table. He put down the saucer and poured the glass full of brandy. "You should have killed yourself last week," he said to the deaf man. The old man mentioned with his finger. "A little more," he said. The waiter poured on into the glass so that the brandy slopped over and ran down the stem into the top saucer of the pile. "Thank you," the old man said. The waiter took the bottle back inside of the cafe. He sat down at the table with his colleagues again. "He is drunk now," he said. "He is drunk every night. What did he want to kill himself for? How should I know? So how did he do it? He hung himself with a rope. Who cut him down? His knees. What did they do it? Why did they do it? Fear for his soul. How much money has he got? He has got plenty. He must be 80 years old. Anyway, I should say he was 80. I wish he would go home. I never get to bed before 3 o'clock. What kind of hour is that to go to bed? He stays up because he likes it. He is lonely. I am not lonely. I have a wife waiting in bed for me. He had a wife too once. A wife would be no good to him now. You can't tell. He might be better with a wife. His niece looks after him. You said she cut him down. I know. I wouldn't want to be that old man. An old man is a nasty thing. Not always. This old man is clean. He drinks without spilling, even now. Drunk. Look at him. I don't want to look at him. I wish he would go home. He has no regard for those who must work." The old man looked from the glass across the square, then over at the waiters. "Another brandy," he said, pointing to his glass. The waiter, who was in a hurry, came over. "Finished," he said, speaking with that ominous of syntax stupid people employ when talking to drunken people of foreigners. Or foreigners. "No more tonight. Close now." "Another," said the old man. "No, finished." The waiter whipped the edge of the table with a towel and shook his head. The old man stood up, slowly, counted the sources, took a leather coin purse from his pocket and paid for the drinks. Leaving half a peseta or peseta tip, the waiter watched him go down the street, a very old man walking unsteadily but with dignity. "Why didn't you let him stay and drink?" The unhurried waiter asked. They were putting up the shutters. It is not 2:30. I want to go home to bed. What is an hour? More to me than to him. An hour is the same. You talk like an old man yourself. He can buy a bottle and drink at home. It is not the same. No, it is not, agreed the waiter with the wife. He did not wish to be unjust. He was only in a hurry. And you? You have no fear of going home before your unusual hour? Are you trying to insult me? No, hombre, only to make a joke. No, the waiter, who was in a hurry, said, rising from pulling down the metal shutters, I have confidence. I am all confidence. You have youth, confidence, and a job, the old waiter said. You have everything. And what do you lack? Everything but work. You have everything I have. No, I have never had confidence, and I am not young. Come on, stop talking nonsense and lock up. I'm of those who like to stay late at the cafe, the older waiter said, with all those who do not want to go to bed, with all those who need a light for the night. I want to go home and into bed. We are of two different kinds, the older waiter said. He was now dressed to go home. It is not only a question of youth and confidence, although those things are very beautiful. Each night I am reluctant to close up because there may be someone who needs the cafe. Hombre, there are bodegas open all night long. You do not understand. This is a clean and pleasant cafe. It is well lighted. The light is very good, and also now there are shadows of the leaves. Good night, said the younger waiter. Good night, the other said. Turning off the electric light, he continued the conversation with himself. It was the light, of course, but it is necessary that the place be clean and pleasant. You do not want music. Certainly, you do not want is provided for these hours. You do not want is provided for these hours. What did he fear? It was not a fear or dread. It was a nothing that he knew too well. It was all nothing, and a man was nothing too. It lived in it and never felt it, but he knew it all was nada, ye pues nada, ye nada pues nada. Our nada, who art in nada, nada by the name, be the name, the kingdom, nada, thy will be nada, and nada in Zam. Give us this, nada, our daily nada, and nada as our nada, as we nada, our nada, and nada is not into nada, but deliver us from nada, pius nada. Hail nothing for nothing, full of nothing, nothing is with thee. He smiled and stood before a bar with a shining steam pressure coffee machine. What is yours? Asked the barman. Nada. Otro lokmas, said the barman and looked and turned away. A little cup, said the waiter. The barman poured it for him. The light is very bright and pleasant, but the bar is unpolished, the waiter said. The barman looked at him but did not answer. It was too late at night for the conversation. You want another kopeda? The barman asked. No, thank you, said the waiter and went out. He disliked bars and bodegas. A clean, well-lighted cafe was a very different thing. Now, without drinking further, he would go to sleep. After all, he said to himself, it is probably only insomnia. Many must have it. James Joyce once remarked, he, Hemingway, has reduced the veil between literature and life, which is what every writer strives to do. Have you read A Clean, Well-Lighted Place? It is masterly. Indeed, it is one of the best short stories ever written. And this is now the end of the short story. And I think it is actually a pretty good one. There is not an explicit lesson I think you can learn from that one. But I guess there is definitely something that you can pick out, something that really struck me as I was reading it the first time and also now, and I do just also have to say, I don't know whether there's so much Spanish in it, and I don't know if I've actually read it incorrectly. I'm still gonna just link everything down in the description of the podcast and of the video, because it is actually the exact same description always, so that you can also go through it yourself if you want to, or if I haven't read it just in a proper way, which is, probably the case to some degree, or for some people at least. The thing is, I think I haven't read that part that nice, but I think the rest is quite okay. It's quite okay. But what I initially want to say is that the part where he was talking about basically being selfless to some degree and just thinking about the other person, okay, you want to go home, I understand that, but I also understand this old man, he wants to sit in a pleasant and well-lighted space or place, which is the cafe, and he understood it, and it was don't be so selfish, just don't be so selfish and think about the other people as well. And I do somehow assume that the younger waiter also understood it. I think he understood it, and he seemed, for me at least, I don't know if this is just his amazing writing style or if it is just me, I kind of assume or kind of feel like that he was a little bit concerned or a little bit sad and mad at himself for actually doing that. Actually really doing that. Actually closing the cafe, just, sending the old man home without giving him a space to just be at, and or his being so selfish. I really kind of feel like that this younger waiter was actually a little bit sorry for him, in the end, as the older waiter was okay, why are you so selfish? Why don't you just give him the hour that he wants to, because it is what he always does. And something that I find really important is to just, step into somebody else's shoes. And it has been just such a thing that I've gathered through How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's not Carnegie, it is Carnegie. And it is just an insane concept, insanely good concept, because it is actually the truth. Caring about the other people more than you care about yourself in terms of, actually thinking about things in their terms. One of the examples that I always bring up is if you're in a job interview or if you're trying to get a job, then one of the best things actually is to not say, I do want to have the job, I do want to get the job, I want to earn that money, I want to have that payment raise, whatever, but actually thinking in terms of your boss or your employer, which means like, okay, I want to work for you because I want to just make your business good. I want to just upgrade your business through me. I want to just make you a lot of fucking money if this is something that the employer actually wants. Just always, and it still then depends on the person you're just talking to and the person you're talking about and whatever, because everyone wants something different. And talking about the thing that the person actually wants to have then just makes sense, because, well, if you think about it, and if you also step into the place and or into the shoes of your boss and also the employer, whatever, then I guess it just really makes sense. I think it really makes sense that if somebody comes up to you and is like, I want to get the job because, I need more money, because I want to do it, because it is something that I like, it feels somehow different than when somebody comes up to you and is like, okay, I want to have that business. I want to just have the job because I want to help your business. I want to help you out. I know that I'm capable of doing what you need. It is just completely something different. First of all, of course, you gotta have to just be sure that you can also do what you're promising to do. But on the other hand, it is totally like, at least for me, just please tell me in the comments or just hit me up on any social media site you like if you're thinking about it differently. Would be amazing, would really be amazing. But the thing is, thinking in other people's terms is just so insanely important. And I also believe it has something to do with empathy to some degree, and which is also very important. Like being able to step into somebody else's shoes and, seeing the world through their eyes, it is insanely important. Not only just in marketing spaces, where where it is totally a good skill to have, just because like, okay, if you have just some, I don't know, target audience and it is just this certain kind of people, then knowing how they view the world and knowing how they act and how they do shit is very crucial, for building up a product or building a business that is actually meant for them and that is actually producing something that they are also gonna need and also gonna want to have and gonna buy because they want it, because it is actually something that's, well, upgrades their life, that brings joy to their life. And to ensure that, you just really have to know those people. And empathy, I think, is a good way to start. Of course, data is also good there, and maybe just having a real life example, not only thinking about it, but also just, having those people around and asking them and whatever is a good thing. But empathy is like, yeah, I think the starting point, for this whole thing. So yeah, please do just think about not only about yourself, like also think about the people around you. And I don't know, something that you can see from time to time and quite always, when you're just listening to, well, not only motivational stuff, but also stuff where, like, if it is podcasts or videos, whatever, where just amazingly successful people talk about their business and talk about how they got successful, you will often hear that people are like, okay, I wanted to just do this. I wanted to just solve that. And it is like really not often the case that people are like, I wanted to make a lot of money. It is often that people wanted to help other people or themselves, which is like, okay, I want to solve that problem. In the first place, it might have been a problem that was bothering you, but in the end, it is actually a problem that is bothering a lot of people. And then it was just a win-win situation. Like you had the business, you made that thing, and you help other people with it. So in the end, what I want to say, it often is the case that a business is helping somebody else and not only yourself. And it is really not only, or the first intention is actually helping people and not only just making money. Often it is the case. I just really do not want to say that it is always the case for successful people. There's just gonna be some successful people that did something just because of the money. I just totally don't doubt that. It is just what it is. And I think it is not even that bad or something. But I think even if you think about it in a different way, so if you think about it as just helping other people, I guess, I don't know. I think it could just also ensure that the business or whatever you're doing is striving, Something that I've gotten recently said on on one of his podcast episodes, so the Akimbo podcast. It is amazing. I might be linking it down in the description, but it is just an amazing podcast, and I wish you would be listening to it as well. I somehow even wish that you listen to it more than to this one, just because I believe that it is just an amazing podcast. It really is. It is just amazing, and just because you clearly see and you clearly understand that he just knows a lot of shit. Seth Godin is a knowledgeable person. He just is a smart guy. You can't doubt that. Like, it is just facts, I guess. It really is just fact. The thing is, what he said is that, what did he say? Fuck. This happens to me quite often, when I just do say something else. Then, I was initially having another thought and then just talk about something else. But what did I talk about? Yeah, he often talks about, and it wasn't the only case or the only time, just recently, that he was saying that. But he is like, you shouldn't create something and then find people that like it, but you should create something for the people, which means like, okay, I'm creating something and then I'm searching for an audience, or I know the audience and create something for them because I know that they're going to need it. I know that they're going to consume it. I know that they are in need of what I'm producing then. And it is actually a pretty simple framework, and it is a pretty simple thought, and it just makes sense also in my point of view, just because like, yeah, you're doing something or you're producing something that people are gonna need, rather than producing something for yourself and then searching for people that actually need it, And who the fuck knows if there is not actually something better already that, people are already consuming and they are not in need of your shit. Something that I also been thinking about my stuff as well. I think they're just knowing the persona and the person you're trying to serve is very important, and also empathy there again is very important. But I don't know if I'm doing it. I really don't know if I'm doing it, which is also a problem. Like, often people know that they're just doing something wrong or in not such a good way or whatever it is, but they're still not changing it up. It is like, no, I'm not gonna change it up. I think it is just a really, I don't know, it is a problem in humanity, I guess. I think it is not a really recent thing, and I clearly don't think that it is just something that I only struggle with. I guess that often people know it better, but they just don't act on it through or because of certain reasons that, I don't know. But yeah, I think this is going to be it with the episode. I think this is going to be the end of this podcast session, whatever it is. It is just insane. I haven't been eating since yesterday. 10? Is it 10 o'clock or was it? I think it was 10 o'clock. And by my regiment, I would actually just wait until just 2 p.m. or something until I can eat something. Yeah, it is a little tough. And also the speaking part is now a little bit tough because I feel like I'm just dreaming or something. But yeah. I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you gonna be remembered, which means your legacy, because we totally have it in our control and we totally can shape our legacy. Even though something that I do want to point out is that no matter how nice, how generous, and no matter how best you are, there's always going to be someone that doesn't like you. And there's always going to be someone that hates you, maybe even, who knows. But yeah. Also think about your purpose. Why are you here, and what are you trying to change, and what problem are you trying to solve? If there is a problem, make it into a business. I guess it would be a good thing. But yeah, with that being said, I see you the next time. Thank you very much. I love you just from the bottom of my fucking heart for actually viewing this certain episode. It is just insane. Like, it really is insane. I see you the next time. Thank you.